I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. During Thursday's Senate Armed Services Committee hearing, Senator Tim Kaine credited the U.S. and its allies for helping, quote, dramatically shrink Russia's success in Ukraine. His remarks come as Russia's war rages on for its third month. Secretary of the Army Christine Wormuth agreed with Kaine, saying, quote, logistics have been an Achilles heel for the Russians. Here's more from Thursday.
Senator Kaine, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks to our witnesses. Russia had a plan to dominate Ukraine, quickly topple the government, depose Zelensky. Their plans failed. I want to follow up on a line of questioning from Senator King, who complimented our logistics. There are a whole series of factors, Ukrainian resolve chief among them, but I share Senator King's belief that the superior logistics of the U.S. and our allies in providing support to Ukraine has been a real factor in being able to dramatically shrink the success of Russian war aims. If you could maybe each talk about whether you agree with me on that and compare it with logistical failures on the Russian side.
Yes, Senator. I fully believe that logistics has been an Achilles heel for the Russians, and it is something, and I think, we have demonstrated by how quickly we've been able to get our own forces over to Europe, but also in terms of the speed and volume of lethal assistance that we're providing to Ukraine. We're showing the incredible competency of the U.S. Army in the area of logistics. And this is something, frankly, that the Army has been focused on like a laser in terms of looking ahead to future conflicts. I mean, we have a whole joint contested logistics concept that we have been working on because there's a recognition, particularly in the Indo-Pacifics, that given the distances, logistics, it's that old saying of, amateurs study strategy, professionals study logistics. And I think watching the experience of the Russians has underscored how important that is and has just reinforced our commitment to focusing on that going forward.
General McConville, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would. I think this shows the importance of our allies and partners, the fact that we have access over there, the fact that we have presence, airfields and ports, and having put in what we call prepositioned stocks, and having orchestrated this and actually rehearsed it. And, it's one thing to have equipment over there, but the equipment actually has to be ready to go. And you all have helped with that. When we come in and say, hey, we need to prepositioned tanks, so we need to make sure these tanks are ready to go, and we have maintainers over there that are making that happen, and we have troops over there that work very closely with our allies and partners, and so when you have a crisis, we're able to quickly get there. We've got a lot of relationships, very strong relationships with our allies and partners over there, and it's kind of a model for the rest of the world.
Well, and I think that your two answers really put the logistics question together, because it's one thing to have great logistics within the U.S. Army or within DOD wide, but what about the logistics of the DOD and all of our forces together with our allied forces? This kind of integrated logistics with allies is extremely unique and really has set us apart from what we're seeing with Russia. Well, I'm a strong believer in this, and I just have to point out, Senator Cotton talked earlier about something that he might worry would lead to deaths or challenges on the battlefield in the physical standards, and I haven't served in the way he has, so I listen carefully. Here's something I'm worried about. Since November, there has been a nominee that's gotten through this committee to be Assistant Secretary of Defense for Sustainment. This is the Chief Logistics Civilian at the Department of Defense, Christopher Lohman. He's a Virginian. Now, he's not just a political appointee. This was a guy who was a Marine officer from 1984 to 1989. And then when he retired from active duty, he joined the Army as a civilian. And he's been a civilian with the Army for 33 years, including the chief logistics official for the Army. And he's been nominated and through this committee without any controversy to be the chief logistics officer within the Pentagon. We can't get him a vote. I have made unanimous consent motions twice in the last 2 weeks that have been objected to by the minority without citing a single reason that Christopher Lohman is not the right person to do this. Why would we not be having a logistics leader at the Pentagon in the middle of a war in Europe? Why would we hobble ourselves? If we're going to talk about something that could lead to challenges on the battlefield, not confirming the Pentagon's chief logistics official at a time when this is the strategic edge that is helping us shrink Russian war aims, I just can't fathom it. And I've been asking my colleagues on the other side whether Christopher Lohman, and I admit to a bias, he's a Virginian, he lives in Fredericksburg, whether you might allow this person who's already served the nation's military mission for about 40 years, just allow him to take the position and help us in an area that's desperately needed. I yield, Mr. Chair.